Let's try that again. How about now? Do I have audio? Let's try that again. How about now? Do I have audio? I'm gonna get feedback. Okay, so I think that hopefully will clear out the feedback. If it's still feedbacking on us, let me know. I'll just kind of switch over to my other screen here. So I think that hopefully will clear out the feedback. If it's still feedbacking on us, let me know. I'll just kind of switch over to my other screen here. We might give it a couple more minutes just because it's not quite 6 o'clock, and we'll see if any other stragglers stop by. Might give it a couple more minutes because it's not quite 6 o'clock, and we'll see if any other stragglers stop by. Right now, this is the last, well, not quite the last, but this is a Belgian white from one of the brew pubs in my area, which is called Brewster's. And it is what I say, Belgian white, so it's called Farmer's Tan. It's one of my favorites, my go-to when I go there. We go there fairly often. We grabbed a growler the last time we were there on Friday, so I'm just kind of going through the last part of that. And then once that's done, I got a bottle of Big Rock's Traditional here for you guys, because Conan and beer go together hand in hand. Although he drinks like wine in most of the stories, but I don't like wine that much. Well, it seems like we might have the large number of people we have going on here. So we got you at least, Eric, and it says 2 watching, but that could be me since I'm watching the stream as well. So I guess we can kind of look forward to going forward on this live stream where we build a Conan character. Live stream where we build a Conan character. So you can always build characters and be how do I build the strongest character? How do I build the best build? And I think that's personally a boring way to build characters. I'm on some Starfinder groups right now, and that's all that, well, it's not all, but a lot of the questions that are coming across now on Starfinder are, what's the best build for this race, or what's the best build for this theme? And I just think it's a really boring way to build characters. So I prefer to start with a concept, I guess. which is what I was hoping we'd have a few more people here and we could kind of hash out a concept together and then build the character that way. So we don't have many people, but do you have any ideas for what kind of Conan-ish character you might like to see, Eric? Build the character that way. So we don't have many people, but do you have any ideas for what kind of Conan-ish character you might like to see, Eric? So we might start with maybe a northern raider of some kind, maybe Viking-esque. We might start with maybe a northern raider of some kind, maybe Viking-esque. And our dude can be male, because I called him a dude. Learn from his father. Be like the beginning of Conan there, when Conan's dad's teaching him about Riddle of Steel. Maybe he's a bit gruff. Strong. Smart. That gives us a basic idea anyway, so let's talk about the character steps here. Down here, we'll turn our steps on. So here we got our 10 basic steps for building a character. This is taken right from the rule book, so it's just kind of a cut and paste. First one is Homeland, so now let's see if we can think about where we might want to be from. Maybe the easiest one, if you're at all familiar, or not familiar maybe with Conan, if you're familiar with the 1982 classic film Conan the Barbarian, you will know that his village gets wiped out, good talking today, by Veneer raiders. So maybe we'll go with that. So let's go back to the rule book here. Let's go to the PDF and we'll scroll down to Homeland. So, make sure that came up properly. Here's a list of the Homeland page from the rulebook. So we'll see that it's got a bunch of stuff on it. It's got all the Homeland, and then it's got a talent associated with that, and then the language that those people would most likely speak. You can roll for this if you want. It's a 2d20 roll, so 2 to 40. We're just going to pick because we kind of have a character concept going. You can roll for this if you want. It's a 2d20 roll. So do they have a Veneer listing here or not? Doesn't look like they do. What do they got? Colonian, Sumerian, Nordheimer, Asgard, and Vanaheim. So that's what we're looking for. Talent, Winterborn, language, Nordheim. So let's go Nordheim for our character. Nordheimer, Asgard, and Vanaheim. Let's go back to our character sheet here. Homeland, Nordheim. Back to our rule book again. So our talent is Winterborn and our language is Nordheimer. Just going to copy that. Back to our character sheet. So our talent is Winterborn and our language is Nordheimer. Language. Homeland talent. Winterborn. So if we scroll down a bit here into the rule books, we'll see that Winterborn says that you're born in a place of deep winter and intense cold, often spanning the entire year. When in wintry environments, the number of successes required for survival tests you attempt is reduced by 1. Just make a note of that. And that's on page. It's on page 15. So I like to go to my character sheet and go cold weather survival difficulty -1, page 15. All right, so that's your first part. It gives you a character in Nordheim land. We're going to be from Vanaheim. You can put that there if you want. It won't make a difference for the character creation, but for story-wise, it certainly does. See, we now have 3 people watching, so feel free to say hello. I'm kind of monitoring the chat as I go here. We've just picked our homeland for our character, which was Nordheimer. Just popped open another beer if you're new here. We're drinking traditional ale from Big Rock, Calgary Brewery. Just popped open another beer if you're new here. We're drinking traditional ale from Big Rock, Calgary Brewery. Let's go back to our steps here. We've done step 1, homeland. Moving on to step 2, attributes. Let's go back to our rule book. Scroll down to step 2, attributes. So like all role-playing games, you have a bunch of attributes. If you've played D&D, you've got like strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, charisma, constitution. Conan uses different ones, but essentially the same kind of ideas. Oh, excuse me. So we got agility, awareness, brawn, coordination, intelligence, personality, and willpower. In this game, we do not roll dice or buy them per se. We'll see that all characters start with 7 in every attribute. So we'll just jump back to our attributes. In here, we'll go agility, awareness, brawn, coordination, intelligence, personality, and willpower. So they're all at 7. Also note, this character sheet's cool, but it's very busy with the color. When you print it out on PDF, you can print it out without the color turned on, so it's much easier to see. Alright, so it says, with the Game Master's permission, the player can voluntarily reduce 1 or 2 attributes to 6 and raise an equal number of attributes to 8. So we'll do that just as an example. We said our guy wanted to be strong, so we'll make this 8, and we'll make personality 6 to compensate for that. His willpower we will keep the same. Awareness will go down to 6. His agility will go to 8. I think I said he's smart, not quick. Let's go back here and make our agility back to 7 and make our intelligence 8. So that goes with our description that he is intelligent and strong. We got 2 at 6, personality and awareness. Let's go back to our character or our rulebook here. Alright, so starting attributes we just did. We'll go down here. So again, this is a thing you could roll or you could pick depending on what you want to do. We're going to pick a couple different aspects. And the aspects are just defined here, attribute aspects. which is the second column. Strong, resolute, cute and aware, etc., etc. When we pick one of these, it's going to give us a mandatory attribute, 2 of them. So when we pick 2 of these attribute aspects, we're going to end up with 4 mandatory attributes. Of these 4 attributes, we need to pick 1 as the best and 1 as the worst. The best will be increased by 3 points. The worst will increase by 1 point. The other 2 will increase by 2. So let's actually roll for my guy here, because that sounds like more fun, more interesting. They don't have a rolling application or a camera on it, and I can't find my D20, but I got lots, so let's pull another one out. So my first roll is a 4. So that's acute and aware. So that's awareness and intelligence. Let's go back to the character sheet here. That's awareness and intelligence, and I don't really have a piece of paper with me, so I'm just going to put an M next to those for now. And we'll go back to our rule book, and I'll roll again. I get an 18. So charismatic and personality. So that is personality and willpower. Personality and willpower. So awareness is 6, intelligence is 8. So 8's probably a good one for best, because he's supposed to be a smart guy. So we'll make that 11. We got to make one of these other ones worst. Let's make the personality worst, so that'll come back up to 7. The other 2 will become increased by 2. Alright, so that takes care of our mandatory attributes. We'll also see that we have optional attributes. So you pick 1 optional attribute from each of your roles. So in this case, we take agility or coordination, and either awareness or intelligence. So let's take awareness and agility, increase those each by 1. Awareness by 1 and agility by 1. Alright. Go back to the rule book there. And that finishes off that part. Let's go back to the chat here. Hey Shannon, how you doing today? We're just building a character here described as a northern raider, Viking-esque, male, learned from his father. He's kind of gruff, and he's strong and smart. We just finished doing the attributes. Now we're going to move on to the next stage. The next stage is cast. We'll go back to the rulebook here. If you have any questions, Shannon, just throw them out to the question chat window there, and I'll hopefully get to them. Or if you think I'm doing something wrong, we can discuss what's going on there. So cast descriptions. We got a couple of different ones on here, so I would just kind of go through and pick the one that I kind of best matches the character that I'm trying to build. So in this one, I might choose maybe farmer, because he's like a guy who lives in the north, but probably I'm going to pick warrior, just because that's kind of the Viking-esque aspect. So he gets a couple cast talents, sentry and subject, and he gets a parry skill. Roll down with warrior here. Sentry subject is cast talents. Go back to our rule book. Sentry subject. Make a note that his skill is parry. And his cast is warrior. All right. Back to the guy. Gives you descriptions of your 2 things. Sentry. You learned at a young age that a watchful eye subsists on mental rest. So long as you have a total of 4 hours of sleep within the last 2 days, you suffer no penalties for sleep deprivation. So that's sentry. Oh, I didn't turn the thing back on. You guys can't even see it. And it steps off. All right, there's back to the rules. So again, Sentry, I'll just read right from there. Sorry about that. So let's go back to my character sheet. Sentry, sleep, go 4 hours, sleep, last 2 days. No penalties for deprivation. No deprivation penalties. Okay. This other one is subject. You are subject in good standing to a lord or king. While subject to their laws, taxes you face are much less. So upkeep in my homeland is reduced by 1. Subject. You are subject in good standing to a lord or king. Subject to their laws, taxes you face are much less. So upkeep in my homeland is reduced by 1. So if you're not familiar with the game, in between adventures, kind of like if you're running one-shots or you happen to have downtime between your adventures, you have to pay upkeep to make sure your equipment continues to be running in a good place and get your arrows back and all that kind of stuff. Let's make our age 20, let's make him 19. 19 a male, all right. Let's go back up here. Skill gained adds +1 expertise and +1 skill focus to the designated skill. So, as we build our characters, we're going to increase our skill in here. Parry is +1 and +1. These numbers will always increase in unison as we build our character. So if you're done and you end up with an expertise of like 4, 14, of 4 and a focus of 3, you've made a mistake somewhere. It's not how it's supposed to be. They should be equal. We got 1 parry. That's good. Let's move back to our next step. So that's cast. So the next step is story. Let's turn this back off so you guys can see the rule book this time. Scroll down. So same thing as before. You can roll for your story or you can pick it. There's a set of stories for each one of the casts. So if we'll find our cast, which was warrior. Excuse me. Merchant, outcast, petty, priesthood, warrior. So again, I don't really have an idea here. It doesn't really fit into my concept of a character because it's pretty loose. We'll roll or die. So I got 11. So my event was idle hours guarding cold walls. There's a description for that. It says, your gate was the main gate for your settlement. You saw all who would come through. Where there was little trouble, you saw many strangers and varied travelers. One day you saw 3 riders come close to the settlement gates. They halted, spat at the ground, and rode back the way they came. Do you remember anything about these strangers? Did you find out who they were? Why they did not enter? So these are just kind of like story ideas that will give you ways to develop your character a little bit. You do get a trait for them. This one's called Hedonist. These are just kind of like story ideas that. So idle hours guarding cold walls. Go back to here. You do get a trait for them. It's not actually even a story here, but you get a trait. So Hedonist. Go back to the rule thing here. Blacksmith. Let's go back here to the rule book. Blacksmith. See if we can fit that blacksmith into here. See if we can fit that blacksmith into here. All right. So let's go to step 5, which is the archetype. Back to our steps here. So step 5 is archetype. I'm trying to move everything, which is bad. So Conan doesn't use character classes. You don't increase in level. You have an archetype, which gives you a basic idea structure around your character, and then as you gain experience points, you spend those on skills and increasing your stats. Let's look through our archetypes, see what we got. So first two: Archer, Barbarian; Mercenary, Noble Warrior; Nomad, Priestess; Pirate, Scholar, Scoundrel, Witch/Shaman. So the other expansion books have more stuff in here. And actually, for the character I'm building, I'd probably want to look at the Barbarian book. I think has the Northern stuff in it. It actually has a whole bunch of Northern ideas and concepts in it. But I wanted to keep my current build to the basic core rule book. I mean, Barbarian's basic one, but it's kind of boring because everyone wants to be Barbarian. It's Conan the Barbarian. Let's go with Noble Warrior. So I'll be a pretty well respected warrior in my clan. Let's go back here. All right, Noble Warrior. Career skill. So I get +2 skill expertise and skill focus in the society skill. Back to our character sheet. Find society skill, which is underneath personality. Go 2 and 2. And we'll jump back to our character sheet again here, or our rulebook rather. A career talent, which is a modicum of comfort, which is on page 82. So we can take a look at that in a second. Well, maybe not in a second, but eventually. Archetype, modicum of comfort. So mandatory skills. I get +1 expertise and +1 focus to acrobatics, animal handling, parry, and resistance. It's quite a few. So I'll go acrobatics and animal handling. Acrobatics, and animal handling. And we'll go back to here and get the other two because my memory isn't that good. Parry and resistance. Parry will go 2. Resistance goes to 1. All right. So as you can see, these are going to give you a lot of more of your expertise and focus as your character builds up. So we get elective skills as well. So you get +1 expertise and focus in 2 of the following skills: melee, persuade, or ranged weapons. So we're probably going to take melee and maybe ranged weapons. They make the most sense for the kind of character that I'm building here. So melee is 1, ranged is 1. There's a bunch of equipment now, so we get a suit of heavy armor, any type, all locations, choice of shield, you can pick that later. 2 weapons of choice, you can pick that later. A warhorse with light barding. Most of the characters in Conan start with some kind of horse or mule. So you can be demand to be addressed as Sir or similar cultural title. And you can be pressed into the army of your king at any time without pay. So that part kind of sucks if you're hanging around in Vanaheim. They got to go attack the go attack the Asgard guys. Well, you get a horse, heavy armor. Oh, there he is. 2 weapons. Fine traveling clothes. All right. Let's jump back over to the channel here. So does anyone have any questions? Is everything making sense so far?
Now, does anyone have any questions? Does everything make sense so far?
Give it a little pause here to wait for the chat to catch up.
Pause here to get the chat to catch up.
So our next step is step 6, which is nature. Scroll past here. We're done with all that stuff.
So our next step is step 6, which is nature.
So again, you can roll if you wanted to. I said he was going to be like a gruff kind of guy. So maybe we'll give him, how about stoic? People that come across as gruff sometimes.
I said he was going to be like a gruff kind of guy.
Practical could as well. Let's go with practical. I like that one better. Maybe he's gruff because he's impatient when people who aren't practical. So nature is practical. And again, as I said, you can roll for all these. You can roll a completely random character if you want to, but I think that's boring. I'd rather have an idea of what I'm building and then go forward and build that idea. Let's go find our guy. Practical, learned. So you have an eye towards the pragmatic, always seeking the most efficient or reasonable means of achieving your goals. I get +1 to coordination. +1 to coordination. I get +1 expertise in focus, discipline, crafting, and healing. So discipline, crafting, and healing. Remember, these numbers always go up in unison. Oh, I've got the stupid thing turned off. I gotta remember to turn those steps off. So, as I was saying, I can't really see. Let's move this over to, hang on guys. Move that over so you can see it better. Alright. So like, as I was just saying when I couldn't see it, I was just saying the expertise and focus both go up in unison. And that was, we were boosting our expertise on discipline, crafting, and healing. So I moved them all up by 1 each. And now we'll go to our elective skills. So elective skills, +1 in expertise and focus to 2 of the following: alchemy, animal handling, or observation. Alchemy doesn't really fit for my guy. Animal handling does, so let's go animal handling and observation. So animal handling goes to 2. Observation goes to 1.
Animal handling goes to 2. Observation goes to 1.
Talents. So I get one talent associated with any of the above skills. So what I do here when I get to this is my, what are we doing here? Our nature? Yeah. So this is our nature. So I will just go down to our character sheet, and under nature, I'll just kind of write the skills that I was doing. We got healing, healing, discipline, craft. Back to here. Discipline, craft, awareness, and observation. That lets me know which ones I can go back through and pick from when I get to that step, because I usually do that a little bit later. Give me 1 second, guys. Hello! Alright, just saying hi to the girlfriend when she came home here. Back to the rules here. So that gives us our nature. So our next step obviously is step 7, which is education. I'll turn the steps off this time because you guys want to see the rule book. So education, these are all the kind of things we got here. So we can have elder mentor, family footsteps, which might work pretty good for my father aspect. Traditional. Let's see what traditional says. Traditional. Yours is an unremarkable education, perhaps thankfully, either trained in the family trade, apprentice to a mostly benevolent master. Okay, so that one's not bad. Family footsteps, you earned your career directly from one of your family members. That actually sounds better. So let's use that one. So we're into here, go family footsteps. Did I spell that wrong? All right, family footsteps. What does that give our dude? Family footsteps. We get a mandatory skill in discipline, resistance, and my career skill. So discipline and resistance. Let's go back to the character sheet. So discipline goes to 2. And resistance goes to 2 as well, because it was already at 1. We get a +1 in our career skill, and our career skill was parry. So parry goes to 3. Elective skills, 1 expertise, +1 expertise, and +1 focus to 2 of the following skills: animal handling, society, and survival. I think animal handling and survival make the best sense for this character. So animal handling becomes 3, and survival goes to 1. All right. Then it'll tell us what talent we get. So 1 talent associated with any of the above skills. So discipline, resistance. Let's go back to our character sheets. Education, discipline, resistance, parry, survival. I'm running out of space here. Let's just go back here and kill some of these so you can't read them all, but you have an idea what we're talking about. And animal. There we go. Okay. That gives us the list of skills we can pick from for those guys. We're going to pause here. I'm going to just address a quick question in chat. Shannon's asking, how does magic work in the game? So like D&D, do you have a magic mana, PPE, points to spend? It's not really like D&D. To discuss how that works, we need to discuss hit points, kind of. It doesn't really use hit points the way we would normally use hit points as well. There are 2 pools. There are a mental pool and a physical pool. The mental pool and physical pool both have 2 kinds of counters. They have harm and what are the other ones called? There's harms, which are wounds and trauma. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trauma and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wounds. Then you have these other ones, which are vigor and resolve, and they'll be much higher. So when you get hit in combat, your vigor will go down essentially. If you get hit and get your vigor reduced to 0, you take a wound, which increases your difficulty by 1. If you take 5 points of vigor in a single round, it goes up by 1, and there's some special stuff that will make it go up by 1 as well. Resolve works kind of the same way, except when you cast spells, you need to have a resolve pool, and you kind of will spend your mental strength on them. And as you learn spells, it'll also kind of drop down as well. So if you have 12 or 13 resolve, you learn some spells that might drop to 10, then it might drop to 8, and then they might cost 2 points of resolve to cast that spell. Magic's way different in this game. It can be very powerful. It could leave your character very mentally drained, though. I do have a video on my YouTube stream, or on my YouTube channel about how sorcery works, and I probably do a live stream about it as well, because it's a fairly interesting system, and I like it because it makes it not D&D-y. It's definitely a lot different. There's definitely a lot more opportunity to make your wizard kind of crazy and kind of deformed or whatever. So hopefully that answers your question, kind of, and we'll go forward with the character creation here.
hopefully that answers your question.
So we just finished education. So our next step is war story. So we also get a family heirloom from that last one, but I don't really care about that. There's no mechanical part of the game. So war story, this could be a roll. We're just going to roll for this one. So I rolled a 19. Survived witchcraft or sorcery. So witchcraft makes the most sense for our guy living in the north. Maybe he had a witch attack his family. Maybe some of those family members got killed, but he survived. And now he's trying to hunt down magic in the world. So we get +1 expertise and focus to discipline and sorcery. So I've come in contact with it, so now I'm more attuned to it. There we go. I'm going to actually change that. No, it's not going to change for me. There we go. Parents' personalities. This stuff is not hugely important. It's all, I mean, I think it's important because it's story driven, but you can write whatever you want in there. Doesn't matter. So then we go to step 9. And here, step 9 is finishing touches. So we're almost there, almost got a character built. So finishing touches says our attributes. You can increase 2 of my character's attributes by +1, and 1 attribute by +2, or 1 attribute by +2. So you can increase your 2 of them by +1 or 1 of them by +2. Let's make our brawn 9 and our intelligence 12. Skills, I add +1 expertise and focus to 3 skills of my choice, or +2 expertise and focus to 1 skill of my choice, or +3 expertise and focus to 1 skill as above. So take 3 points and just spread them out over your stuff. However, keep in mind that I cannot improve any of my character skills by more than +5. So I can't add +3 to ones that are already +3. So let's make my melee 2, add 1 to there. Let's make my animal handling 4. And let's make my craft 2. Which kind of play into our blacksmith idea. Warrior, making a blacksmith. Put that in there just as a note, because Shannon was mentioning that the blacksmith might be kind of an idea, cool thing. So we updated his craft skill there just to make it play into that. So you can pick 1 additional talent for your character at this time, provided the character meets the talent's prerequisites. And or you can increase an additional talent by an additional rank. So you may not pick a fortune talent at this stage. So there's some talents that give you fortune points, which are special points you can use to roll dice really well or ignore wounds, that kind of thing. So language, you may pick an extra language. I would talk to your DM about this to make sure you guys are picking a language that is, relevant to your campaign. It's no good if none of the characters speak the same language. Or say that he's learned Aquilonian just because it's Conan and Conan is king of Aquilonia. So language, fortune points, they're an in-game resource, as I was saying. They represent good luck or fate. All characters begin with 3 fortune points, and you can earn them throughout the course of play. So if you're playing good with good role playing, or you do something cool, the GM can be like, "That was awesome. Here's a fortune point." They regenerate at the end of every adventure, and you may, at this time, choose to permanently spend 1 point of fortune. So you're going to start with 2 instead of 3, and you can increase an attribute by +1. Or a single skill's expertise and focus by +2. So let's go back to our character sheet. we'll go, we get 2 fortune points. We're going to increase brawn by
Let's go back
by 10 to 10 rather. Is that how it worked? Attribute by +1. So this is a little note here. It says, if you choose to spend the fortune point, then no attribute can exceed 14, and no skill can have its bonus exceeded by +3, even with the ancient bloodline talent. Well, what's that, you say? No, back in the character sheet, there is a bloodline here. I generally would suggest people avoid it. We go back to attributes, which is a fair ways back in here. Scroll back through here. So, page 17 has a little inset bar called Ancient Bloodline. So the Ancient Bloodline talent indicates that you are obviously descended from one of the great fallen civilizations, people whose physical and mental attributes were greater than those of the folk of the Hyborian Age. Whether their parentage descends from the Isle of the Sunken Atlantis or the ruined empire of Acheron, you visibly stand out as a beacon of excellence or depravity. With this talent, anytime you fail to make a personality test of any kind, the player must immediately pay the Game Master 1 Doom point and will gain an additional D20 adding its result to the test. The test is otherwise resolved in normal fashion. If the character has already spent Doom points to gain 3d20, modify the personality roll, the player must pay the Doom point and does not gain the roll, so does not get an additional d20. So this means your characters have a little bit of a disadvantage when they're dealing with other people if their stats are really high.
This means your characters have a little bit of a disadvantage when they're dealing with other people.
Let me go back here. Where does it actually mention that? Oh, here we go. As the character is generated, the players can choose to change or ignore any choice that pushes the attribute above 12. It can ignore the additional points if desired. If it goes above 12, the character immediately gains the Ancient Bloodline talent described in the adjacent box. Though this talent does allow for attributes to increase beyond the human maximum, it means the character stands out as being different and may be subject to fear, discrimination, persecution, and other forms of bigotry. Even with this talent, no attribute may exceed 14. Alright, so that's the Ancient Bloodline talent. I generally suggest players don't go above that just because it adds another level of annoyance to the whole world, but probably like for an advanced game it might be cool. You get like Albie from Fallen Atlantis or something. But for your first game, your first character, I generally don't suggest it. Alright, fortune points, personal belongings and garments, weapons, which we've already talked about a little bit. So Vigor, Resolve, and Gold. So Vigor is equal to the total of the character's brawn and expertise in the resistance skill. So brawn is 10, resistance is 2, so Vigor becomes 12. You start with 5 wounds, so you can do this however you want. But generally, however you want to mark these in here is up to you. I'm just going to do that, and then you can scratch them off as you go. Go back and we'll say resolve. So this is the mental aspect. So this is the character's willpower and discipline skill. Willpower and discipline is 11. Yeah. That's 11 resolve. And then gold. Starting gold is equal to the sum of the character's personality and expertise. So personality. No, I don't know. I didn't read the whole thing. Expertise in the society skill. So personality is 7, society is 2, 7, 8, 9, gold. So damage bonuses. Also relevant. So melee attacks gain bonus from brawn. So our brawn is 10, which is 2 combat dice. Our coordination is 8, which is I think 1. Nope, 8 is 0. It's a good idea to write 0 there, just so that you know that you didn't forget. And mental damage comes from personality. So our personality was 7, so that's going to be 0 as well. Mental damage comes from we keep going here. Name. Every character needs a name. You should pick a character's name as a representation of their personality. Age. This personality, you can write whatever you want there. Appearance, same thing. Here's some sample character names. Make sure that's working here. Alright, see you later, Shannon. Gives you a basic character idea anyways. We're almost finished. You scroll down through here, Hyperborea, Nordheim, Asgard, or Vanaheim. So you can pick a name from here. Any kind of good Viking name is probably pretty good. We're going to call our guy Asgrim. Grab that. Back here. Fold that up. So we haven't gone through and picked our talents. But there's a whole chapter on talents here, so if we just kind of go forward. There's another chapter here on talents, so you can go through here. Animal handling is personality. So we could go through here and be, say, born in the saddle. So I need an animal handling of expertise 1. So if I go back to my character sheet, I have animal handling here, so I could do born in the saddle. Born in the saddle, maximum ranks 3. So in any animal handling test where you generate at least 1 success, you may immediately roll a number of bonus d20s equal to your ranks of born in the saddle, up to the normal maximum of 3 bonus d20s. So I would probably actually just write that as page 59, because that's a big mouthful. We get born in the saddle, page 59, rank 1. So our nature gives us healing, crafting, awareness. Let's go look at crafting and see what's... Oh, this doesn't really work that way. Athletics is brawn, personality, crafting talents, intelligence. So let's take journeyman. Because that'll let us go to armorsmith eventually, right? So I can figure out how to get to there. Journeyman, here we go. Alphabetical. Journeyman, craft expertise 1. Back to here. Rid of that. Go. Journeyman. Make sure you guys are seeing everything properly. Still are. So you've passed the apprenticeship and passed its trials. Making a craft test, you may either roll 1 extra d20 or spend 1 doom to reduce the difficulty by 1. So let's go back to here and go plus 1 d20 or reduce difficulty by 1. And it is on page 64. And we can go forward out of there, because that's all we need, to armor and weapons, which is the next chapter. No, this is not the next chapter. Weapons, we need 2 weapons. Let's grab him a sword. We're going to grab him a broadsword. So that's this one here. Use him parrying. Unbalanced 5 combat dice. So we'll go name broadsword. Unbalanced. Damage 5. Combat dice. I think it's reach 2. Let's double check. Is reach 2. Maybe we'll give him a bow for his other weapons since he has some range skills. Club, axes, chain, net, whip, spear, blah, blah, blah. Bows. Let's give him a hunting bow. So double check its range and stuff. Close range, 3 combat dice. Close, two-handed, 3 combat dice. You get 2 loads with it, if I remember correctly. It's probably supposed to be 2 melee weapons, but whatever. Find the armor, some heavy armor. So you can have like a heavy vest, torso, 3. I'm just going to go in through here and be torso 3. It's going to be everywhere, so it gets all of that. And just make comments on there. Oops. So additional belongings we can go into here. Be heavy jacket. Heavy vest, I guess. So heavy vest on torso, heavy armor, heavy shirt. Let's go heavy shirt. That's 3 on torso and so with that heavy shirt and heavy leggings. We'll give them that. And then heavy armor, head, helmet or coif. I'm going to go with coif. Go back to our stuff that gives us 3 on everything, so he's got a lot of armor, which is pretty cool. It's noisy though, so that'll be play into your character being stealthy. And in general, that's going to be your general character. It's got spaces for spells on the character sheet, other talents, additional belongings. If you get animal guys that hang around with you, there's places for creatures, other attacks. That's a general character created for the role-playing game. Your target numbers are going to be, go through here and add all these up. So 8 plus 1 is 9. 8 plus 2 is 10. 9 plus 1 is 10. 9 plus 1 is 10. 12. 10 plus 2, 8 plus 3 is 11. 8 plus 1 is 9. 14. 13. 11. 8, 9. 9, 12, and 10. So you're trying to roll underneath the 9 and the 10 to get successes. And if you are unfamiliar with how that works, feel free to go back and check those other videos. And they will show you how the game actually basically runs. So that's going to be pretty much that video. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to shout out at me right now, and we can try and get those answered. Right, I'll crash stuff as I try and figure out my webcam here. Pretty dark right now. We got lots of light from the right, none from the left.
figure out my webcam here. It's pretty dark right now. So
There we go. Zoom that back out. As far back as we go.
back we go.
All right, everyone. Well, my beer is done. It is 7 o'clock. So that was an hour of Conan character creation awesomeness. If you thought this was useful, as always, please click like. And if you want to see more live streams, leave comments below. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, all of that stuff. And of course, we're not just going to do Conan. We will do other things, sci-fi as well, war games, skirmish games, RPGs, all that kind of good stuff. And with that, you guys all have a good night. Drink some beers for me, and we'll catch you all later.